Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to episode number 8 in our Oxygen Not Included Redux series. I apologize if my voice is a little off today. I've been struggling with a cold. I'm going to do my best to try to record, but if I sound a little labored in my breath, it's because of my bad chest cold. So, we're going to start the day off with showing you a few small things that I have been working on just to improve some things. First, I have a long-haired slickster in here. He's my only slickster. What happened was that I got water that built up down here, covering up these incubators, and I did not notice it. And I noticed it, I was pumping it out, but I didn't notice that it had flooded them. And so they stopped handling eggs. The eggs all hatched in here, and they got turned into meat. So I stopped having any that could add to the production here. This population died off, and this one died off while I was working on other things. So the only slickster I had on the entire map is this long-hair slickster. The long-hair slickster mostly is going to give long-hair larva eggs, but he will slowly shift to giving us larva eggs as a primary, because the temperatures in here are in the range for larva eggs. So once his body temperature heats up, let's see, where's his body temperature at? I don't know if it shows me on here. But anyway, once his body temperature heats up, he will give me more larva eggs. But for now, I have this incubating larva eggs, this one incubating long hair eggs. And once I get a population of regular eggs back up, I will switch this off so that we get rid of the long-haired slicksters. So that's one thing. It's not an urgent issue to fix because the carbon dioxide coming down in here isn't very great. Eventually it will be, though. The next thing is this pump system here. I am trying to design something that will let me control whether or not to send gas through, because I want to only send gas when there is a full packet, because it keeps sending small packets of gas when it's pumping out, like, 2-3 grams at a time here, and I want it to make sure that the packets are full before it goes up, because what happens is those little tiny packets work their way up, and then they block this line, so the gas coming from the top can't make it into the filter. It reminds me, I have to fix this carbon dioxide line so that it is going in correctly. I'll fix that shortly. That's my next thing to do. But so I was trying to do couple different combinations. My first thought was to have it go through here, and since the priority would be for it to go through this line, we wouldn't let anything through until we got a sensor on this line. But if I do a gas pipe element sensor, I need to select a type of gas on that sensor, and that means if I have any varying amounts of gas, which I do, this sensor is not going to do the job. So for now, I'm going to put it on. I'm going to set it to polluted oxygen, because that's what all is down here, so that it'll work. But I'm going to have to come up with a better solution to make that work. I was trying to use a thermal sensor, thinking that it would give a reading that was consistent when there was nothing in the pipe, and then once it changed the reading to anything other than minus 267, the absolute minimum, that would mean, hey, there's something in this pipe, send some gas. But what actually happens with the thermal sensor is it gives, when there's nothing in the pipe, it gives the reading from the last time there was something in the pipe. So once it goes up to 26 or whatever, because that's the temperature of the gas going through, it locks onto that. So it doesn't really work. I'll mess around with it later, figure out the best way to handle it. But for now, we're just going to put the element sensor there, set it to polluted oxygen so that we can keep pumping this polluted oxygen out. but it'll only pump if we're getting a full pipe. So let's quick set that. We're going to set it to polluted oxygen. And so it'll be a good temporary. Oh, polluted oxygen is a breathable gas. It'll be a good temporary fix, and then I'll have to get come up with a better solution permanently. But so you can see it stops sending gas until this spot gets filled, because once this spot is filled, that means gas starts going through here and it turns this green, which lets gas go out. And so we end up with these filled packets where it's all filled gas, all 1,000 grams, instead of having these packets that are half filled. That was our goal. Next thing it changed. I had a spot here where I was blocking the path, and I had to do a ladder that went around because my items from my sugarloaf farm dropped down this ladder. I simply moved the chute over a little bit, so it drops it straight down here through all this mess, and that's a space that will always be clear. And it lands right here on this tile. I set up a sweeper, it picks everything up, puts it in here, sends it off to our base. So now when the slicksters turn to meat, the meat will drop here, this one will grab it, send it over to the base right away. That way we don't have meat sitting around the base going bad. This population is doing okay. I had an error where I had all of the things going out into the chute, including the eggs. And so then the eggs were piling up down here, and then I had a whole bunch of shovels just chilling down here. I fixed that. So that's all the little fixes that I made over the last couple days. I haven't been able to play much because of my bad cold that I've had. But today, I am going to build my industrial work. And I'm thinking right here is a great spot for it. So I'm going to finish clearing out all this stuff, and then we'll build a little area for making refined metals and plastics and glass and all those things under a temperature controlled room. And I'm gonna get all the area cleared out, and then I'll lay out what we're going to build, and then I'll come back and we can explain it, what our thinking is on the plan. The reason I'm picking this spot here is because it's pretty close to the base, and since I need the duplicates to go in to run the metal refineries, I don't want them having to go very far. Though as soon as I get this built, the next project is to build transit tubes, so it doesn't really matter. But that's still the reason why I'm going to fit it into here. It also is right next to this aluminum volcano, which I'm going to set up to tame it so that we can have aluminum coming out here. So then the refined metal from the aluminum will be right here with all the other refined metal that we're going to be processing. So let me get this all cleared out and get the construction laid out a little bit, and then we'll work on it together. Oh, so I just realized the problem we're going to have with this long-haired slickster, and that's that long-haired slicksters live in oxygen environments, and so they are not going to be able to survive down here. So I think I have 9 cycles till this guy passes. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a trap or a critter drop off down here. I'm not sure what I know he consumes oxygen, but I'm not sure what he produces. We're going to try it. We're going to make this fast. Down here, we're going to have to put in a trap to capture him. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a trap. Spice grinder. Something new. Let me put that there. And then I'm just going to open this door. That way he'll be able to go out. He'll get in the trap. Up here, let's set this to just be long-haired slicksters. That'll be fine. And down here, we will turn off the long-haired slicksters. There he goes, gets trapped. Okay, cool. So he'll get brought up here. He can survive in the oxygen, and then we'll play around with him. Maybe he'll be something useful. We'll see. Nazir red suit, sure. I also did a couple changes here. I rerouted the power here because I had a break in this wall to get the power through. I just put a heavy watt joint plate, sealed this up, and then I put a little tiny bit of a roof over here so that if anything falls down from above, it'll spill into here, spill its way down here, and should be fine. I'm also working to clear out all of this area so that there is nothing that can melt or anything here. So I'm digging everything up, and then we're going to sweep it all to get it taken out of here. We'll mop up all these liquids. That way we don't have to worry about liquids building up down here. So that's what we're currently doing. We're still working on clearing this area. Also, this natural gas geyser I have been running for quite a while now. Everything's working great in it. So I sealed it off and I got rid of the airlock on it. I'm going to let it run a while longer, and assuming I don't have any problems, and I don't think I will. Everything in it is steel, so it's not going to overheat. It's pumping out as fast as it can produce it. I did install the mod that gives us a average output. So it shows us the total average output of this geyser. So basically what we used to have to do is I would take the numbers here and punch them into the ONI assistant calculator, or do the math myself or on a spreadsheet to come up with the average during eruption and the total average. So the average during the eruption average is how much comes out during the eruption period. So if you average the amount during when it's actually erupting and when it's idle during the eruption period, it's 179 grams a second, which tells us that as long as we have an ability to pump out at least 179 grams a second, this will never get overpressurized. And the total average tells us that that's the average if you count in for dormancy. So over the lifetime of this geyser, we'll get an average of 110 grams a second from that one. But assuming that this all works out, I will seal up this one as well, get rid of the liquid lock, and the other one is where? Over here. But I just want to make sure that they're working good beforehand. But if you look at this one has a 104, this one has 103, and that one had 110, I think it said. Yeah, so that's 317 total grams per second average over a long period. That's how much natural gas we're getting from these sources. And so if all we were going to run was natural gas power, that's how much we could run if we were running constantly. We could burn 317 grams per second and keep our natural gas running 24/7. That's not how we have it set up. It's not how we're going to have it set up, but it's good, valuable information to have, and now we don't have to go and calculate it outside of the game. So that's why I'm all right with that mod. Just makes life a little easier. It's all information you're already given, just presented in a new way. I don't know for the life of me where our little long-haired slickster friend went. He was in a trap here. He got taken. The only drop-offs I have are either up here. I have this one, doesn't allow long-haired slicksters, so he couldn't have gotten put in there. And then I have the ones in my hatchling farm. These only allow hatches or stone hatchlings, so they couldn't have put them in here. This one doesn't allow long-hair larvae or slicksters. so they couldn't have gone in there. This is the only one that allows drop off for long-haired slicksters. And he got put in that trap, he got picked up, and he's gone. I cannot find him anywhere. So we're stuck with waiting for our printing pod to provide us with slickster larvae or eggs. Either's fine. We'll get them. It'll just take time. And like I said, this will pressurize up to 20 kilograms per second of carbon dioxide before we have any issues. And there's a lot of space down here. So we have time to get the slicksters back. But I just don't know. He's gone. So I managed to get one slickster larva out of a printing pod, and I trapped it, and I brought it down here. And once he's grown up, we'll tame him, and he'll start doing eggs. So I can turn this back to slickster larvas. Slickster, or slickster eggs. Larva egg. There we go. And so both of these will be set to larva. And hopefully this dude will be the father of a whole new generation of slicksters to handle our carbon dioxide. I am still working on clearing out this area. And one thing I did is I built a new coal line. So my coal line used to come here, and then it came down, went up here, over, and in. I ran a new line that comes more directly up, straight from our base. I'm trying to empty out the old line before I delete it, but because there's no output here, the conveyor line is confused. It doesn't know its directionality. So I'm just putting a bridge to start it. Once that's there, all this will know to go across this pipe and up and in. We're not going to be able to get it all in for now, but the more I can get off of the line before I start deleting the line, the better, because it'll let me less things for me to sweep up. What I probably will do is I'll fill this section up, and then I'll put in a conveyor chute right here so all the coal gets dropped off right on this tile, and then I'll delete the whole line. That's a good plan. So it takes a while, even at high priority, to build these bridges, because you need a mechatronics engineer to do it. But it looks like they're getting it finished right now. Sort of. So once that's there, this will start feeding the right way, and I can start getting rid of it, which will be great. And then I'll reconnect this line here. And then I can pull that line out. My plan for my industrial block here, I'm still, like I said, I'm still clearing the area out. Let me put a ladder in here so they can get up to that. I want to build a proper pathway across here. Because right now our duplicates come out of the base, they got to go across the ladder, down across, and I want them to be able to go from here directly over to our main maintenance pathway that goes up and down. So since this is here, I think I'm going to make a floor that is even with that they can just come down the ladder, hop onto it, and run across. And then all of this can be moved. I will probably put another layer underneath for a maintenance line for the lines that I do have to keep under here, but we'll work on getting that done, and then we'll have all this area cleared between these two geysers and down to build an industrial block that's right next to our base, and will work great. Even better than dropping it off in a chute and having it here for the duplicates to take in, I realized that our main storage line is right there. So once this line was filled back up, I reconnected it, and then I rerouted this to go to here. So it's emptying out this entire chute, or this conveyor rail, back into main storage, which is perfect. So now we have a coal line that's nice and full. I want to check to make sure that I set this priority back. It did. Everything up here is looking good. This is still set to only pump out when this is over 2,000 or 2 kilograms, 2,000 grams. That way we keep some pressure in here to help with cooling, and we are only pumping out a full line. Oh yeah, this is disabled. I have that here so that once all this polluted oxygen sets up, it can go in. I think we could actually do that now, because I want to get this to be all polluted oxygen, or polluted oxygen free, so that I can redirect this line to go straight into the carbon dioxide storage. Another thing I want to do is put in some automation inside here. I think I'll put it here and make it so that these only go on when there is more than a kilogram in here, so that way they're not pumping when there's not enough in here to fill the line. Trying to make things a little more efficient. I probably will repeat that for all of these. That'll be fine. Okay. So let me see. Let's turn this stuff. This is on high priority. Somebody's coming along to turn that on. So it's pumping gas out now. As soon as it gets these last couple pieces of polluted oxygen out. That's the other reason that we have this at 2 kilograms. I don't want this to go under pressure, because if it's less than 2 kilograms in here down at the bottom, this polluted oxygen is going to off gas. As long as we keep it sealed, it will. You can see it says emitting 0 kilograms of polluted oxygen, because it has nowhere to go. So overpressure. So that's the whole point of that. So we're almost through getting all this polluted oxygen out. Once that's done, we'll remove this pump, and then we'll redirect that pipe to go right into the carbon dioxide storage. So we're getting close to being out of time to record for this week, and this episode's starting to get a little long as well. So I'm going to hold off to finish this industrial brick till the next episode next week. Might have been a little overly ambitious trying to get 2 episodes out this week when I wasn't feeling well, but that's okay. We spent most of the time on this episode doing little cleanup projects, but they were ones that needed to be done, and sometimes that's what you need to focus on in this game. When you get far ahead and you leave little things behind, getting them cleaned up, I still have a lot more to do with that, so I'll probably do that between episodes before I come back to start building this. The next episode, my focus is going to be getting this industrial block finished finally, and then using the steel and plastic we built from there to finish building our new oxygen production facility up here that I've been working out in between. Before we end today, I am going to go over a couple of little things. One is our slickster down here is nice and happy. He's an adult now. His reproduction is at 17% per cycle, because he's been tamed, he's been groomed, and he has plenty of food. One thing that we're having a problem with is now that the gas in here has built up to pressure, there's a lot of temperature building up, and so these iron doors were starting to break, so I'm replacing them slowly with steel doors, so that everything will still work. But this guy will soon lay an egg. He's at 17%, so that's 6 cycles to get to an egg. So we'll get our first egg, and we'll continue the cycle and start producing more slicksters to fill this farm back up. That way we can process all this carbon dioxide. Next thing, I was designing a system here for compressing gas packets. And as is often the case in Oxygen Not Included, I was doing a little bit of over-designing, using sensors and everything to detect when the line had items in it, which would have worked. It would have been more complicated than needed. For this purpose, I just need it to send out full packets of gas when it has them and be able to handle more than one gas at a time. So gases are pumped into this reservoir. It can hold more than one gas. All of them add up to make a total amount of gas in the reservoir. When the total amount of gas in the reservoir reaches 80%, which is 120 kilograms, an automation signal is sent through a NOT gate and switched to turn on this gas shutoff to allow gas to escape. It will continue to do that until it gets to 50% at 75 kilograms. So gases will build up in here. They will send out gas when this gets close to full, and then shut off when it's half empty again. So in the result, once this hits 80%, and how much do we have in here now? Let's see. 118, so it's about to kick on when this hits 120. There we go. So you see, as soon as it hits 120, it starts pumping out gas, and it does so until it gets back down to 75. So it sends out full packets for a good period of time, and then it shuts off again and lets itself build back up. All of these should be 1,000 grams, except for the chlorine. Chlorine is only 615, but that's because the only chlorine that was in here was 615 grams. So it's still a full packet. It's just as full as it could be. So that's fine. I just don't want it to be sending packets that are just 5 grams, which makes it so that this line, when it gets up to here, is filling this loop with uncompressed gas, blocking any other gas coming in. So that's going to work out great, exactly what we need it to do. Over here in our power station, I had enabled this pump so we could pull out the polluted oxygen. I left it on too long. I forgot about it. And so it depressurized the room. Carbon dioxide fell below the threshold where it was overpressurizing the polluted water. So the gases were, the polluted water was off-gassing again. So now I have polluted oxygen working its way back up. So I disabled it. Another thing I did is I put 2 tiles above here so I can get rid of these 2 tiles. That way the polluted oxygen will work its way up, over, and into here because it's going to try to get to the highest point. So I can let this run for a while and it will put in, why is my coal running? 90, 10, 90, 30. So this should be, when it gets to 30%, which should be 6, it should kick on the natural gas. Natural gas, oh, it doesn't have any gas coming out? Oh, you know what I did? I put in these new automations and I forgot to switch them to above. So none of them are letting any gas out because, of course, they are all above 1,000 grams. Some of them aren't even connected, which is fine, but that was silly of me. That's okay. I wasted a bit of coal, but I have a million tons of coal. No problem at all. All right, so our natural gas is coming back down. So, yeah, this will allow us to get all the polluted oxygen built up in those 2 tiles, and then I can turn this pump on briefly, get it all pumped out, and then shut it right off right away and take this pump out. Once we do that, we'll be able to take this carbon dioxide line and run it directly into here and not have to run it through the filter anymore. So that is doing good. I'm still working on clearing this area out. Like I said, we're going to focus on that more in the next episode because I just didn't get time to get it done this week. Hope you enjoyed watching the episode. Like I said, I know it was one that was filled with a lot of small projects, but that's what we needed to get done for this week. I am still going to try to stick on a schedule where I do 2 Oxygen Not Included episodes a week, and next week I'll be starting my new Minecraft series, so I'll be doing 2 episodes of that a week, and we'll be finishing out Call to the Lamb for a few more weeks until that series is finished. So I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.